Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As we mentioned earlier in the beginning of this edition of the Breakfast Show, we'll be talking about tourism and what is the government doing in order to boost tourism, what we as Egyptians can do in order to revive this vital sector to the Egyptian economy. In order to know more, we're very much delighted to have with us here in the studio Dr. Yehia Abdul, tourism counselor. Good morning to you, Dr. Yehia.
Good morning.
Now, to start with, in the past few months and despite the COVID-19 global crisis, the World Airlines resumed their flights to Egypt. So what is the impact of this, of resuming flights back to Egypt and the flow of tourists to the country, especially that we have been also expecting more Russian tourists to come back to Egypt in the near future?
Yes, really, nearly 95% of international travels, inbound travel, Egypt, arrives via airlines.
Mm-hmm.
So, the COVID, was blocking, many countries because of the lockdown to travel, as we know, worldwide. Still, we have reservations up to now. But last week, the airports of Marsa Alam and Hurghada, they received over 30 international flights. One flight, Qader, German Airlines, it flew from Hamburg, Frankfurt. It was carrying over 200 passengers. And there were other charter flights from Ukraine, Czech, Poland. And next March, we are going to receive charter flights as well from Lithuania. And it has been announced that Thomas Cook will resume its flights back to Hurghada and Sharm el-Sheikh next October, inshallah.
Mm-hmm. Sports also plays a role in attracting tourists. We have been hosting here the World Handball Championship for men, and it was a huge success. And teams from all over the world came to Egypt in order to play during the championship. But I believe they still had a chance to visit some of the sites here in Egypt. What is the impact of this?
Definitely, the championship, World Handball Championship. It, they stayed at least for a month, because there is, peer rival for the games, and they get accustomed for the environment and the train and food habits and comfort. And then they go through the games, and then they have the post games, tours as well. So we had 32 crews and, teams that been, it's a very good, mix. We had international teams worldwide, and these are the top teams. This is very, good promotion, because countries worldwide, they compete to hold Olympics, Winter Olympics, Summer Olympics, World Cup. This year, the government has plans to accommodate and host 20 international championships. Now we had the handball successfully behind us, but on the 22nd of February, we're having an international shooting competition. Mm-hmm. That's going to be held at a hunting club at 6 October City, and there are over 32 teams that are going to participate as well. In April, we're having 2 championships. We have international cycling, and we have fencing as well. Mm-hmm. But in June, we're going to have international gymnastics championship. So, this is really, 5, world championships within 6 months. And then throughout
almost
the
one
rest
championship
of the,
every month.
Exactly, and it attracts, global media, social media, bloggers. It's an excellent venue, to promote the city, the discipline, the organization, hospitality, all aspects of the travel industry.
Okay. We have also seen the national carrier taking a number of measures to promote tourism, providing some offers to Egyptians during the mid-year vacation. How do you see that?
Well, really, Egypt Air is running, an aggressive and dynamic and successful strategy to promote, its business. Recently, on average, they have 70 flights per day between international and local domestic flights. They have now many routes worldwide, and they've been offering a very generous offer, 50% discount for Egyptians, to spend their winter vacations in Luxor, Aswan, Marsa Alam, Sharm el-Sheikh, and Hurghada, and Sahel Hashish, all these areas. So it has been a very successful campaign, and they have Cairo Air as well, that's getting more fleet and more plane. So airlines, is a very strategic part to promote and activate the travel industry. Yes.
In the past few years, we have seen Egypt announcing many archaeological discoveries, especially in Sahara. So what is the impact of those discoveries in bringing more tourists, and how can Egypt further promote these events in order to attract more tourists?
Well, we definitely are fortunate, like to have this extensive civilization behind us, like pre-dynastic, Pharaonic, Greco-Roman, Coptic, Islamic, and contemporary. That's what we're witnessing for the time being. And, we have been seeing, like throughout last year, we had, like regular, like discoveries and excavations in Saqqara and in Upper Egypt. And this is really very good to promote the country and its culture, because we have foreign expeditions that work, like on the excavation, and it's very dedicated scholars, like who fly worldwide to come and stay for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, last week we announced the discovery of the Greek, like antiquities west of Alexandria.
Yes.
And that was in association with the Dominican Republic, archaeologist. Actually, Dr. Kathleen, she was looking for the grave site of Queen Cleopatra. But she came across another discovery which dates 22 centuries ago, and it belongs to the era of Ptolemy IV. And really, it's so mysterious and so magnificent. One of the discoveries, like, is one of the nobles, like he has like a golden tongue. And this is very mysterious because, like gold was so revered in ancient civilization because it never rusts, and it represents, like, and models eternity and truth, and
And golden teeth, but golden tongue
yeah, exactly, yeah.
was really strange. I mean, to see golden tongue, I have seen the picture.
Yes, definitely.
That was really something strange.
It's still, like a puzzle, like, and trying to decipher, like, what was the point. But even, like, if you look at the mummy of King Tut, he has, like, covers, like, of
toes.
Of toes and
yes,
and nails
but that
as
was
well.
like, yes, but that was like a cover, not, but the tongue, that was
exactly. Well, that was like a Greco, like version of keeping, like mummies and for eternity. And he looked at, he has very sound and strong teeth, So it's very amazing, and you can see that the differences in the new version, like in costumes and mummification, even, like the niche and the relief, like on the walls of the tomb, like, and the artifacts. It shows, like, we are moving from one era to another era.
Yes, but don't you think, Dr. Yehia, that such magnificent events need more promotion, and in order to further dazzle the world, we need not just a press conference to tell the world that we have made a discovery, but to make an event for this discovery?
Definitely, yeah, because up to my knowledge, like, this is the first time we have, like, such expedition from South American, like, countries, the Dominican Republic, like, you need to fly 25 hours, like, to reach the Dominican. So it's very good that we have ties, and they have, like, scholars in archaeology and Egyptology who come to Egypt and do, like, their research and excavations. So we need to promote and have mutual, like, programs, like, to and this is the point, to promote tourism for Egypt in Central and Southern America as well.
Yes.
Argentina, Brazil, like Colombia. Yes, it is.
As part of the government's efforts also to boost tourism, the Ministry of Tourism has invited bloggers to come to Egypt. Perhaps that's how they believe in the power of social media and the role of bloggers in promoting certain places. How do you see that?
Well, like, Ministry of Tourism is launching, a very vigorous campaign. Part of it, like, is to focus on social media, because the young generation, and there's too much coverage, and lots, like, of viewers, like, by the millions, when they see an event like games, concerts, like, events like that, and discoveries in space. So they've been inviting like 10 teams of world famous, like travel bloggers, that they come to Egypt and take pictures and visit, and they contact, like, their followers and their fans, like, and it's very vigorous. For example, I have many friends who like to go and visit, Luxor and Aswan, because they have seen, like, promotional material, you know, like about Nubian villages in Aswan. So many friends contact me. They wanted to go, and they've been viewing this through social media. So social media has a powerful impact because like seeing is believing, you know, you see the pictures. So like restaurants, many world times in the world, football teams, fashion models, you know, like cars. So social media is like one of the major vehicles now to promote commodities and services worldwide.
And perhaps even before COVID-19, anyone who wants to plan his vacation will go to the internet and check the websites that would give him the hotel rates, programs, what we can do in that particular place. So ratings became very important. But after COVID-19, this became essential because now people depend on the internet mainly in order to visit any place or plan any vacation.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that because last month, you know, like we had too many, you know, like endorsement, you know, like from the telegraphs, you know, like Alexandria, you know, like has been, you know, like nominated as in the year 2021 to be like one of the destinations that you must see. And Egypt has been like on Archaeology Magazine and other publications.
And CNN as well.
Exactly, CNN Travel, it has been pointed like one of the top 10 destinations. That's a must see. So this is world recognition about the quality and about the, you know, like originality of our, you know, like sites, culture, heritage, and they promoting so that visitors worldwide will come year round.
Yes. How do you see the step of choosing Noura Ali as head of the tourism committee in the House of Representatives, Dr.
Well, she is very professional, you know, like travel, you know, like administrator, and I met her in the US 10 years ago when she was, you know, like conducting, you know, like an inspection of the ASTA, International Tourism Conferences, the American Society of Travel Agencies. And she's very capable, and we are lucky that she is head of the tourism committee at the Egyptian Parliament. She is powerful. She has contacts with Europe, with the US, worldwide. She will be effective, and she can monitor, you know, like the achievements of the Ministry of Tourism, and she can bring, you know, like improvements in the field. As well, we have Dr. Jihan Zaki. She's been appointed as well at the Parliament, and she is former director of the Egyptian Academy in Rome.
Yes.
So really we have two powerful ladies, you know, like that's, you know, like spearheading, you know, like tourism activities and strategies in Egypt.
Perhaps COVID-19 is a good chance for us to further promote what is called virtual tours for Egypt, especially for museums. Now, this has been applied all over the world.
Yes.
How can we further encourage tourists to do that?
Yeah,
And
really,
even Egyptians.
yeah, we started this really, you know, like as early as last March, you know, like when there was a lockdown, and
Almost a year ago.
that was the initial steps, you know, like to promote our heritage and culture. So we went through this, and they went now currently they inviting the bloggers, and the Ministry of Tourism is launching a 3-year campaign to promote travel worldwide. So yesterday I was reviewing social media, and I saw the Ministry of Tourism is organizing tours, you know, like for young men and women in Egypt from age, you know, like 15 up to 20. They were visiting the Geyer Anderson Museum, you know, like, and mansion, you know, like in downtown Cairo, you know, like, they call the Kritleya.
Yes.
So really this is very good, you know, like approach from the ministry, because you have to train, you know, like the young people to visit museum, to appreciate art, and look forward to maintain and restore our antiquities and belong, you know, like to our culture and history. This is really a great idea, as you mentioned.
Yes. Also, during the past year, Dr. Yehia, Egypt has been implementing a comprehensive plan, part of its vision to attract tourists. And part of that plan was to smooth the traffic and build new roads, new bridges in order to avoid traffic jams. This reflected not only on the residents of Greater Cairo, but also tourists who would come to Egypt. So instead of going from the airport to the Egyptian Museum in downtown Tahrir in an hour, now they can take like 20 minutes or even less, perhaps. So this is a comprehensive plan. How do you see that?
Really, that was one of the strategies, you know, like of the administration. over the past 5-6 years, you know, like we really constructed and developed over 3,000 miles, you know, like of first class flyovers, you know, like on highways and U-turns, you know, like in Egypt, all the way from Alamein up to Aswan, you know, as well as we have seen the budget the government is allocating for, you know, like first class, state of the art, you know, like monorails and bullet trains, you know, like that's going to go at the speed of 250 and 350 kilometers per hour. So this is going to shorten the distance from Alexandria to Aswan like really by like 4 hours. It's like the speed of a plane, you know. So it is extensively healthy and beneficial for tourism, for business, for education, for all aspects of life, because visitors, when you come to Egypt, we have to introduce, you know, like the car rentals. Like when you go to Germany, for example, and
In
you
the
rent a
airport.
car, exactly, and you stay and you use it for 4 or 5 days and you leave it. And so this is like the car rentals, you know, like could be introduced. And this is going to be a very healthy and dynamic approach for visitors, because auto, you know, like motives, you know, like it's one of the landmarks of the 21st century. I remember when I worked with Dr. Biltagi, Allah yarhamu, that the guy who has the license for the Formula One, he came to Egypt in 2000 and he wanted to give the license for Egypt to manage, you know, like one of the circuits of the Formula One. But he had better offer in Bahrain, and now for the past 15 years they have one of the top, you know, like operations of Formula One. And many people have been flying from all over the world to stay for a week, you know, like to join, you know, like the competition. Schumacher and, you know, like Lewis and all of the top names, you know. So I guess at one point, you know, like in the eastern part of Egypt, you know, near the resorts, you know, like between Marsa Alam and Sharm, we have to develop one of these circuits. Saudi now is having one, Abu Dhabi is having one. So we were the first country to be offered the license for the Formula One, and really it's about time that we added to the sports arenas, you know, like for the handball, we had like top, you know, like sites nationwide. One in October, the one at the stadium, one in Burj Al Arab, and one in the new capital. So Formula One will attract, and you will have visitors coming from New Zealand, coming from Australia, coming from South Africa. It's an international game, and it has its own fans and, you know, like admirers. Yes.
Yes. The Egyptian government has been exerting huge efforts in order to boost tourism. As we mentioned, part of those efforts was inaugurating new bridges and road networks to connect Greater Cairo together. Also having museums in Sharm el-Sheikh, for example, and Hurghada,
Yes.
so that tourists who would go to enjoy the beach would also get to be introduced to the ancient Egyptian civilization. How
Exactly,
do you see
because
that?
currently I've been to the Cairo Museum for Antiquities, and I've seen tours, you know, like Ukraine, you know, like, and Belarus, you know, like they drive all the way for 6 hours from Hurghada to come and spend 4 or 5 hours, you know, like to visit the Cairo Museum. When now they have like a very, you know, like sophisticated museum in the neighborhood where they, you know, like go to the beach and, you know, like enjoy, so they can visit, and at the same time they still can need to come to Cairo, you know, like to go to Saqqara and, you know, like the pyramids. But this is one of the addition, and the government is working currently on developing, you know, like an excellent, you know, like flyover and connection between, you know, like Luxor and, you know, like Marsa Alam and Hurghada. So, you know, like you don't need, you know, like you can just like in 2 hours, you know, like on a coach, you know, like, or if you drive your own car, you can be there, see Luxor and see, you don't need to fly, you know, like you can use like the motorways. So we need, you know, like a network, excellent network of roads, you know, like for accessibility for tourists and visitors and trade and education as well.
Yes. Finally, Doctor, despite all these efforts, don't you think that we need to further promote certain places here in Egypt that are not properly promoted on the map of tourism. For example, I'll just give you an example. Halayb and Shalatin area
Yes.
and the area of Hamata and Jabal Alba. I have seen amazing pictures
Yes,
for this
definitely,
area. I've
yes.
never been there before, but I wish I could go there. But why aren't we Egyptians even keen to visit this place? I know it's far away, but still we travel the whole world, we go around the
and
globe,
we
so
miss
why
it,
not?
yeah. Really, you know, like, remember once we talked about, you know, like an Egyptian, you know, gentleman who was discovered the trail of the Red Sea Trail. And that was in world media as well. And it's like an excellent, you know, like, or very adventurous, you know, like, and dangerous as well, chain of Red Sea mountains. He did this trail, and now it's on the map. And then we have, you know, like Halayb and Shalatin, as you mentioned. It looks evergreen like Switzerland and New Zealand, you
Exactly,
know.
it's amazing.
Yeah, I think this should be like the work of the Ministry of Environment, because they care about the environment. They can, you know, like associate and contribute to the tourism promotion by, you know, like displaying, you know, like the attractions of Halayb. And the Ministry of Education, you know, should be in the curriculum of all, you know, like university students. In year one, they go and visit, you know, like as like in all other cultures, you know, they go to the Alp Mountains, you know, like go to Pacific. So young men have to start discovering and getting
promoting.
ready, and promoting and really creating business and development. It's very healthy, you know, like a green area, open area, and the people there are very kind, and they conduct a very peaceful life. And really, we need to develop, as you already mentioned, this area, because we'll have ecotourism, green tourism.
Siwa as well. Siwa is another example.
Yeah, but Siwa is, you know, like in Europe, there's lots of, you know, like Germans and, you know, like many tourists that I meet, they go like twice a year to Siwa. They love it so much. So Siwa's already like been, you know, like on the road map, but Halayb, you know, like, and these exotic resorts, it's time, you know, like
to develop this
to enhance,
area.
develop and upgrade its services, yes.
Yes. Dr. Yehia Qader, our tourism counselor, thank you very much for being with us in the breakfast show this morning. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break and we'll be right back to resume this edition of the breakfast show. Stay tuned.